In honor of Bride of Frankenstein today, Michelle is going to disappear from the vast majority of this review and then appear for the final 5 minutes of it, even though she's still going to be on the thumbnail and be heavily promoted.
And I won't say anything except...
Yeah, so a little bit of it's weird. I know we normally wait until the spoiler part of these reviews to talk about like what happens at the end of the film, but that is a very unique thing about this movie. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is part of Thorgiween, where we're talking about horror films all month long. And today we have decided that this is the start of a theme week.
The whole theme of the month is Halloween,
yeah. So this is a theme week, though.
A theme within a theme.
And we are going to be talking about some of the classic Universal monsters, or just some of the classic older monster films in general. Mm-hmm. And this is one that I've been wanting to do for the longest time, because it's one of the few Universal monsters that I've never seen, but so many people say it's like the best.
And it's fun. It's probably one of the few Universal monster movies I've seen. That
really?
Yeah, I was like flipping through the channels and I saw it playing on Turner Classic Movies, so I just got curious.
Turner Classic Movies?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. But yeah. Okay, yeah, wow, so that's interesting. So I had seen the original Frankenstein, I've seen a lot of the other Universal monsters, but I had never seen this one. Everybody kept saying, oh, it's like the best of those old ones. And I gotta say, I do think that this is probably the best of the classic Universal monster films after it starts going. After it like gets to the point and things start happening in there, it's like, oh wow, this is really good. This is some of the best character development we've had in any of these films. This is one of the more emotional stories that we've had in any of these. The first like half hour of this though is kind of just like aimless and like, oh, it's Frankenstein wandering around the woods. All right, it's very weird looking at this film now, because we keep talking about, everybody talks about sequels in Hollywood and how, oh, they just add on stuff that didn't need to be added on to, and it was all wrapped up. We didn't need to go any further. And I think about how this one begins at the very end of the last film, and oh, Frankenstein has been destroyed, and Dr. Frankenstein is dead. Oh, it's all wrapped up horribly. And then this one literally begins with, Dr. Frankenstein is still alive. He somehow survived. Bam, Frankenstein hand comes out. And it's like, if this happened today, people would be wagging their fingers at this thing so much for how it was all wrapped up and no, Dr. Frankenstein did not survive that. But no, we gotta make this new film. We gotta do it. And it's so odd to me that Dr. Frankenstein feels so different in this movie to me. And granted, it's been a while since I saw the original Frankenstein, and I know that he and his fiance, I believe her name was Elizabeth, I know that he did care for her in that film. I know that he did show that he wasn't just a mad scientist at all times, but there was definitely that mad scientist side to him. And in this film, it almost feels like an alcoholic who had a really bad night, and I was like, I gotta kick this thing. And now anytime that mad science gets brought up, he's like, don't bring that near me. No, I can't be around that. And it's just such a 180 from how he was literally days before this. But then again,
like his creation, like almost killed him and everything. So that would definitely.
I say it's almost like an alcoholic who has like a really bad night. It's like, yeah, if you got into like a drunk driving incident and then woke up, was like, okay, I need to do something about this. Yeah, so I guess it's understandable. However, he then gets visited by his teacher. And I gotta say, I know that there's a lot of people out there who are always like, why do you gotta add more lore onto the backstory of characters? Why do you gotta introduce this thing about this character? And listen, I get that. There's a lot of stuff not just in like Hollywood and sequels, but I mean, like, I read comics, especially in the world of comics. There's tons of, oh, but you didn't know that there was this character from their past that has never come up in the 30 years that this character has been around. Yeah, I get the whole, why do you have to keep introducing more secret lore that we didn't know about? I find this one to actually be interesting. Because, sure, there's a chance that Dr. Frankenstein was one day just like, you know what, I'm going to dig up a dead body and just bring it back to life. I've been curious about this entire time. But there's also the chance that someone taught him how to do all this or put these ideas in his head.
Like, I feel like it's one of those, like, impulsive ideas that he doesn't act on, but then someone, like, encourages him to do it.
Yes. It's one
intrusive,
of those things.
That's the word.
Yeah, nobody out there is like, oh, I have zero interest in bringing the dead back to life, and then somebody just gets them really hyped on the idea of it. No, there had to be like a little spark there. But man, you get introduced to Dr. Pretorius. I believe that's why his name was called, because it was one of those names I was like, how do you spell that? Every time that they said his name, I was like, I feel like everybody pronounces it in a completely different way. But yeah, Dr. Pretorius, every single time that this guy talks, you're just like, oh, you were the worst possible teacher that Frankenstein could have had. Because you encouraged all these bad behaviors, didn't you?
Yeah, it's funny how you mentioned, like, Frankenstein is, like, a sober alcoholic, and then this is the guy who comes and is like, hey, one more drink! That shouldn't be hard, right? How about another? And just...
This is the pusher. This is the necromantic pusher. I don't even think that's an actual word that I just said. But yeah, this guy, he is such a character. He is so over the top, but in, like, the best ways. Like, he's low in personality. Like, the first time that you meet this guy, I love that they kind of show, okay, you saw what Dr. Frankenstein was doing. Let's see what the guy who taught him has been up to. And you see that, no, it's not. He's not just doing the exact same thing. He's got his own brand of mad science going on. Like, he's creating homunculi, and they've come, like, he's creating, like, little living creatures that he just keeps in bottles. And when you think about the special effects at this point in time,
honestly,
that's impressive what
really
they did.
is.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's funny, like, you just see, like, these cylinders under, like, a blanket. So when he's mentioned, like, oh, I've also been experimenting with bringing human life into the world, I'm like, wait, are those supposed to be, like, fetuses or something?
You are not prepared for what he is about to reveal. He just reveals little tiny people.
Yeah.
And
they're all full grown and fully clothed.
Yeah. And he's like, this is the king, this is the queen, this is the bishop, this is the, I don't remember.
Are they all chess pieces?
I think they were. I don't remember what the fourth one was they showed off. But yeah, it definitely felt like that was kind of the theme that he was going for with it. And I just looked at that like, okay, there's something disturbing about the idea of I want to bring the dead back to life. But you can also understand, like, okay, I could see a doctor being like, how do we conquer the ultimate illness, the ultimate thing that man cannot overcome? But you see a guy who's just like, I'm going to create little tiny people that I'm just going to use for my own amusement. Like, all right, that's a whole, I don't think anybody was asking for that. That's... Who made you want to do that? Oh, that was your own original idea. I see. Okay.
I just want to create life so I can manipulate them.
Yeah, there's nobody out there is like, I want to create a little tiny human that will just do anything that I wanted to do. It'll just be under a glass case that I can just look at whenever I want.
Unfortunately, some parents are like that with their kids.
As I was saying the words, kind of dawned on me a little bit. All right, I kind of get, yeah. But granted, those aren't necessarily good parents.
No.
So yeah, you look at this guy and they do a wonderful job of just going, okay, he's a mad scientist like Dr. Frankenstein, but he's dabbling with some different stuff and it's bizarre on a level that is different from Frankenstein.
Honestly, it feels more like magic than science.
Yeah, it does. Like, you look at what he did, and you're just like, why do you need Dr. Frankenstein? Because he's come back to Dr. Frankenstein, and he's like, I have heard about what you have done, bringing the dead back to life. I want to investigate this as well, and I think that you have some brilliant ideas, my boy. And I just kind of looked at him and was like, you made an entire living creature out of nothing. Why do you want to make it out of a corpse? Yeah, it raises several questions.
Well, I think he wanted to make, like, a life-size human.
Yeah, and
so...
he just can't, he hasn't figured that part out.
Yeah.
They keep blowing up when I get them above 2 feet. Yeah, there's nothing good about any of this. But Dr. Frankenstein, I gotta hand it to him. I was honestly picturing, because he was very much like, I'm not doing that anymore. No, all I care about is you, my dear. I'm never going back to that world of mad scientists again. And I seriously thought the moment that his old professor popped back up, he was going to be like, well, maybe one more won't hurt at all. No, he stands by it. He's not going to do it. But as all this is going on, we also follow what's going on with Frankenstein's monster. Which normally you just call that Frankenstein. Everybody knows what you're talking about. But since we're talking about a film that actually does involve Dr. Frankenstein, there's like, oh, goddamn.
Let's just call him Frank.
Frank, yeah. So we're following Frank. And he comes back and he's just being chased. He's being hunted. He's being imprisoned. Everybody is after this guy. But then he runs into this blind guy in the woods. And the blind guy's like, I can't see, and you can't talk, and I have prayed to God to send me a friend. And then the two of them, just time passes, and he's slowly teaching Frankenstein how to talk. And I find it really interesting that so many of the things that people associate with Frankenstein did not come from Frankenstein. They came from this film.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way, like, because Frank doesn't talk at all in that first film at all. He just, this is the one where he talks.
Mm-hmm.
And he has that classic Frankenstein voice that we all associate with him. And also his fear of fire. Though, like, fire, bad. Like, yeah, that all comes from this film. And one thing that I do love is that as the film goes on, we see Frank getting smarter. The way that he talks in the beginning is just good, bad. And then he slowly starts to form sentences. And then at the end of this thing, like, his final line in there is like, oh, that's actually kind of poetic. The final line in here is a great line, by the way. But yeah, I dig seeing like him progress and grow smarter. And it does make me think back to the actual Frankenstein novel, because in that, Frankenstein, the monster, was not the, like, he could actually talk. He was educated. He was far more complex.
So, like, you could say, like, these two movies are basically a different interpretation of the story, the original novel. So
I definitely, yeah. And this one leans off further from the novel because it's creating brand new stuff. I don't think Mary Shelley ever actually wrote a Bride of Frankenstein novel. That I've never even heard of. But yeah, this one is going off and creating its own new stuff. But you look at it and you do go, yeah, this actually fits. It works with the film that we just got before this. And it kind of makes me interested in seeing the other Frankenstein sequels that came after this, even though I've heard they aren't great. But I am curious to see, like, okay, does the progression continue after this? Because I do know of one thing that happens later on. Like, man, it's so weird to think that Frankenstein is kind of like Jason Voorhees in a way. Mm-hmm. Because people think of Jason Voorhees, it's like Jason Voorhees was not in that first film. Then when he was in the second film, he didn't have the hockey mask. Then when he got the hockey mask in the third film, he was still alive. He didn't become a zombie until part 6. So yeah, what people think of when they think of Jason Voorhees took many, many years, many, many films to get established. It is very much the same with Frankenstein, because in this one, he starts to finally talk. The whole fire bad thing comes in. Then everybody thinks that, what's his face? Dr. Frankenstein's assistant was named Igor. It wasn't. I think it was named Fritz in the first one. Igor is a character that gets introduced like 3 films from now. So yeah, I find that so fascinating. But getting back to this, eventually Frank, ends up meeting up with Dr. Pretorius. And man, I love so many people out there are terrified of Frankenstein when they run off, except for the blind guy. And you see, the blind guy's not terrified because he can't see Frankenstein, but also you get the sense from listening to him, this guy is actually just a nice guy. He actually, he wouldn't judge someone for what they've done. He just wants to talk to somebody.
Also, I feel like he knows what it feels like to be ostracized because he cannot see, so...
Yeah, and you think about the time in which this happened, and he's living out there in a cabin all by himself. Like, yeah, this guy probably has gone through similar stuff. But when he sits down with Dr. Pretorius is the first guy who sees him and is like, oh my... Yes, come sit down, my friend. And he is actually, and clearly he's just like, well, no, that's not even it. It's not even that he's just trying to manipulate him. He genuinely is fascinated by Frankenstein. Yeah. He is like, oh, I think you're very interesting. I keep meaning the most interesting monsters. So, He then teams up with Frank and has him kidnap Dr. Frankenstein's fiance and says, okay, you now have to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to build your monster a bride. And listen, normally we wait on like spoiler stuff on this, but hey, this is a really old classic film. So granted, because it's so old and classic, a lot of people probably haven't seen it. But I feel like this is one of those films where there's no way to really talk about without bringing up what they do in the end of this film, because you have been hearing our description this entire time going, okay, when are you going to get to the actual Bride of Frankenstein? She does not appear until like the final 5 minutes of this movie.
And she does not even talk.
She has no lines. She only makes 2 sounds. She screams, and then she makes a cat-like hiss.
Yeah.
Which I have several questions. What parts were you using in making this bride? How did that come to be?
We couldn't find human parts, so we had to improvise for some things.
Don't judge me. I know what brain you used for the original one. So we're gonna just go ahead and get into the spoiler stuff right here before we even give our score on this one. But I do think I think that this film, it is very good. In the beginning, it does feel aimless, and they're just coming up with a reason to keep the film going. And also, I'll go ahead and say, Dr. Frankenstein, all right. Dr. Pretorius, great. Really enjoyed that character. Elizabeth, she is the classic female character in a 1930s film. She's there.
The damsel in distress.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
But man, I really like what they do with Frankenstein in here.
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein is such a great character in this movie. You get so invested in him. And when it gets to the point where he's not just going around going, and being chased by people, and he starts to like actually get educated and learn to talk. Yeah, I was invested, and I do think that is some of the best stuff that any of the Universal films have done. But now we get to the end of this. We get to the actual Bride of Frankenstein part. And she is revealed. And man, you have just been getting the feeling this entire time that Frank just wants someone that will care for him, someone that he can care for in return.
Someone he can relate to.
Someone that he can relate to, someone he can love, someone that won't judge him. And now he has had this person who has been made specifically
for him.
Exactly. She's literally the bride of Frankenstein.
She does not even have her own name.
Yes, exactly. She is made just for him. And he goes up to her, is like, oh, yes. And then she just screams at him. And he is heartbroken. And yeah, I mean, you can go into like all this about, and we're going to get into it in a moment. But you can get into all the levels of like, well, that wasn't fair to her. Like, she didn't know this guy. She wasn't like, it's unfair to her to just say, okay, well, you're made for this guy, so you have to like him now. But you can also like, and we'll get into that in a second, but still just sticking from the Frankenstein's POV on this, goddamn poor guy. Just everyone hates you. The one person who was your friend, like his house gets destroyed and it gets caught on fire. Everything goes wrong for you. And now finally you're told someone is going to love you. And they hate you the moment they see you. And not only that, but like, she's even getting kind of a little bit like, she's going up to like Dr. Frankenstein in kind of like a, oh, protect me from the bad man kind of way. So this guy who he hated, because yeah, at the end of the first Frankenstein film, he was like, you made, like, he never talked in that one, so he didn't actually say this, but there was this implication that like, he was mad at Dr. Frankenstein for his cursed existence. And now this woman that was created just for him, she's going to Dr. Frankenstein and just be like, no, help me from this thing. God, poor Frank.
I think the reason why she goes towards Dr. Frankenstein is because he's basically the first human she sees. So I guess she kind of associates, like, you know how, like, a duckling imprints on the first person.
I was going to say, it's kind of like imprinting.
Yeah, so I feel like that's why she feels more drawn to the doctor. And when she sees Frank himself, she's like, oh my God, what the hell is this thing?
Exactly, yes. But then this whole thing ends, and it's great it's a great character moment for Frank, because I mentioned that at the end of the first one, he was really mad at Dr. Frankenstein. And in this one, he's now seeing the guy he was mad at getting the girl that was made for him, basically. And he decides to just destroy the entire building. He goes over to this big lever to grab it and pull down. And like I love to tell him, no, don't pull that. You'll destroy us all. And I'm like, why did you make that lever? Why did you make a self-destruct button for your castle?
That was the thing back then.
I guess. Like, listen, I made one monster before. I know what might happen. Fool me once. But yeah, so he goes over to the big self-destruct lever on this thing. And he turns to Doc, and somehow Elizabeth got out of being captured. That's That's a deleted scene that we never saw. Yeah, she just appears at the castle free again from her captives. And she comes in.
Well, didn't she, like, come over because, like, basically he made the bride and they agreed to, like, release her?
Okay. I don't think I read into that. Okay, but that makes sense.
Yes, like basically she was...
The bride was made, so
she got being held hostage until he made the bride and everything.
That makes sense. Okay, I'll give you that then. All right. I didn't think about it quite like that. Yeah, I needed, like, the scene of them releasing her or something, so I assumed that she just escaped. But no, you're right. I guess that they would have just been like, no, it's... Okay, you're all good. But she comes in, and Frankenstein sees that Dr. Frankenstein, he and Elizabeth do love each other. They do have what he wanted. And instead of being angry at them, he tells them, no, you go. Like, he realizes, no, you two care about each other. That's important. Go on, be free. And then he turns to Dr. Pretorius, the guy who just wanted to create monsters. And he just says, we belong dead.
No, it says, you go, you stay.
Yeah, that's... I love that. I love that. He's recognizing, no, Dr. Frankenstein, you're not as bad as you were.
You've learned your lesson. You have someone to care for.
Yes, you two actually care about each other. Frankenstein is all about love, kind of, which makes me think back to that Creature Commando show in a very different light after watching this. But yeah, he realizes, like, having people that care about you is important, and you two do have that, and it's genuine. Go out there, be with each other. I'm not mad at you anymore. But this motherfucker, he just stares over Dr. Pretorius and just says, you stay, we belong dead. It's an insane moment for Frankenstein's monster to just be like, no, the dead should not come back. I should not exist. All of this is wrong, and I'm going to destroy it myself. It's an amazing moment. Mm-hmm. It's a great way for the film to go out. Now, there are a few things that we should also talk about on here. One is, I mentioned my problems with the beginning of this film, and I quickly went past this, but one of the reasons why I was not feeling this film in the beginning is there is one character in there who was really annoying. I don't know if you felt the same way, but there's one character in there in the beginning who she is this little lady who is just shrieking the entire time. And it's just going up to everybody. I saw the monster. Like, she has got the most stereotypical, "Oi, governor," like, kind of British voice. The best way I can describe her is she feels like if Saturday Night Live existed in the 1930s, she would be a character actor on that show. She would be that actor on that show who's like, oh, they're the one who does that funny British voice that sounds really bad and is really over the top and everything. Let's put them in our movie so that they can kind of do that. Like, it's that level of off-putting. I did not...
Is she supposed to be like a nurse or like
she's like
a lady in waiting? Or
she's like a housekeeper.
Yes.
She's something like that. She's like a maid, housekeeper, something like she works for Elizabeth.
Yes.
Man, I hope that actually is the character's name because I'm second guessing the hell out of it. But yeah, this film, it focuses on her a lot in the beginning. I was like, oh, please tell me you're not going to be around for long because I got annoyed by that character so fast. Also, there was a sequence in which Frankenstein's monster is captured and then he breaks out of the town and he's running rampage again. And it does feel a little bit like we've been here, done this. Mm-hmm. But also, there's some moments in there that I'm just like, what happened? Like, there's one woman calling out for her daughter, and she's like, where is she? Where is she? And then she goes up, and she sees a bunch of other school kids, and she's like, where's my daughter? And then she looks at something that we don't see and she like freaks out, and all I could think was, we've been following Frank this whole time. Frank didn't go to that area. This is very poorly edited if we're supposed to think that Frank is somehow responsible for this, because all I got the feeling was something happened to the daughter, and now Frank's getting blamed for it.
Was the daughter the girl who had the sheep?
No, because that scene, I think, comes after this. I want to say. Maybe. Wait, I'm getting all mixed up. The beginning of this film is kind of jumbled.
Yeah, basically.
We watched this like 3 days ago, too. This is not like something that I'm having to remember from weeks ago.
Like, basically, the beginning is like Frank scaring people, and he's running away from them or killing them, basically trying to like avoid them in any way possible.
Now that's what I call Frankenstein. It's Frank's greatest hits, all the beginning of this thing. Yeah, it's kind of like, wow, this is really just, I'm not feeling anything from this movie in the beginning. So after that, when he meets the blind man and the story starts going, I am invested in this film. I actually really do like it. I think that it is one of Universal's best.
Yeah.
But up until that moment, it's kind of like, okay, what are you doing here? So that was one problem I had.
Yeah, it's like, I felt like Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster could have been living separate lives happily if it were for the professor and the two huntsmen who came into the cabin.
Man, I keep thinking about that and being like, what would have happened if those guys never stopped in there? Like,
it's like,
this would be a completely different movie. And honestly, I kind of want that movie.
Yeah.
I want the Frankenstein movie where he just goes and hangs out with the blind guy, and then he just slowly starts maturing more. Like, show us him learning how to read, and suddenly he gets like into philosophy. And then at the end of the film, like, he has to return to society. Like, maybe his blind friend gets sick and he has to go to a doctor or something. And then we see Frank have to go back into town and be like, listen, I'm not like that anymore, but my friend needs help. And just make this whole message of like, can people forgive and learn, or do the people's prejudices, are they unshakable? And then what happens to this guy who has been trying to not be that monster?
Also, the importance of showing love to other people.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Frankenstein didn't really show much love for his creation.
Yeah, and again, it's so weird for me to see like Dr. Frankenstein being like a more mature, better character in here. Because he was an asshole in the first film. He was a mad scientist. Literally in the first film, there's a moment in which he says, now I know what it feels like to be God. And I'm supposed to look at that guy and be like, yeah, he's just a normal, relatable guy now. Yeah, that's not a guy with an ego the size of Minnesota. Yeah, all right. He will never do anything bad again after this. But now we're just talking about like the underlying themes of this film. And for this, I need to look up the director's name, and my screen just went blank. Excuse me.
Was it James Whale?
I think that was it. Yeah, wow, you are way better at remembering names than I am.
I just remember because, like, whale as in the animal, so it's easy for me to remember.
I remember the name anyway with a W. I couldn't remember the first one. But yeah, this was directed by James Whale, who I believe also directed the first one. But from what I understand, because this was such, like, a completely original film, and he didn't have to go off of anything, the studio gave him way more freedom on this. And here's the thing about James Whale. Back in the 1930s, he was one of the only people in Hollywood who was openly gay. Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, the LGBTQ community has it much better these days. Like, no, things still suck. We're still living in hell. But back in the 1930s, like, nobody was out. Like, that was something that so many people lived in fear of. And so so James Whale being out at that time, he was a big trailblazer. And when you watch this film, I am not the first person to say this. Like, there have been so many articles and op-eds and video essays made on this subject, but people have pointed out there are so many LGBTQ themes within this film. Not just, things of like Frankenstein, even though he's not the monster anymore that he was in the first film, he has matured, he has become better. people still are just like, no, you're that thing, and we hate that thing. And it's like, yeah, you can definitely see there are themes in there that relate to like the prejudices against the LGBTQ community.
Honestly, you could say that for like most monster movies back then.
There is a reason why there is a big overlap of horror films and the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
There is an entire documentary series on Shudder. I can't remember what it was called. I'm forgetting, but it was like a 5-part series that talked about the history of horror as it connects to the LGBTQ community. And it's a great series. I unfortunately cannot remember, but it's on Shudder last I checked. But from there, it goes into the actual bride itself. And we talk about like how desperate Frankenstein is for love, to just find someone that will love him to get a bride. And again, you think about like how many people in the 1930s were afraid to come out of the closet. Again, you can definitely relate that to the LGBTQ community, is that you can definitely relate that to those group of people being like, I want to find love, but I can't because no one else is out. Like no one else is willing to come out of the closet at this time. And then at the end of this film, flip that around to the bride of Frankenstein herself. You have the bride wake up and she's just being told, you have to love this man. This man is going to be your husband. You need to marry this man over here. And her reaction is, fuck that. Oh no. Yeah, I don't even have to explain that one. That one, like the metaphor writes itself on that one. And I am serious, like, there's no way people in the 1930s got this. Because so many people in the 1930s didn't even know what gay people were back then. But it is so fascinating watching this film and keeping that in mind. I mean, heck, this film even opens up with Mary Shelley, the person who wrote Frankenstein.
Was it her or was it like an actress?
Mary Shelley was dead at this time.
Yeah, I figured.
It was an actress, but yes.
But
it was an actress playing Mary Shelley. And then also there was her husband. And I don't know who the third person was.
Like just a friend of
theirs? It was
theirs?
just some guy. I don't know if they even say who he was in the movie. But I keep looking at that, and here's the thing about Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley was also openly, like, bi. Like, she wrote, like, letters. If you go back and, like, read her journal, there are moments in which she just straight up like, oh, yeah, I hooked up with this chick last night. Like, she was very much bi. Biggest bi icon of the decade. Century. But... what was I trying to say here? Oh yeah, but she and her husband were also famously friends with some guy who was a member of royalty, and they hung out a lot, and I'm wondering if that was supposed to be this guy. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is also there were many journals discovered in which they're like, oh yeah, all three of us just banged. All three of us, like, yeah, me, my husband, and our male friend over there, we all just had like a big threesome constantly. And I am wondering, like, that's another one of those things that, like, if you don't know that about Mary Shelley, like, they don't promote it that much. But I am wondering if that was a known thing at this point in time, because it does make me wonder, is like, is that why you decide to include that guy? Just sit like, is he there just so her husband has someone to talk to about, my darling wife, Mary Shelley, writing such incredible imaginative stories about monsters. Is he there just so that her husband has someone to talk to? Or is he there because the director's like, I am aware of the history that they had. I'm going to make sure to put that in here in any way that I can. Yeah, it makes me think about that. Yeah, like just the fact that they open with Mary Shelley in there, I was like, I feel like this is already a wink and a nod to the like gay bi origins of the Frankenstein story.
Who was the actress who played Mary Shelley?
I have no clue.
Well, speaking of which, the credits, they never give the name of the bride.
You are right. What did they call it? They called it something else.
The bride, and then like question mark.
Yeah, that was it. It was question marks. Yeah, did not get credited. Which, do you think it was the actress who played Mary Shelley?
Maybe.
It's known by now. It's known by now, so I'm not even going to like... excuse me. I'm not even going to throw that idea out there because I know somebody out there is going to be like, IMDb exists right now, right? You can just look up who played the bride. It's like, okay, might not have been her. I don't know. But yeah, I do find that to be very interesting. Like, I don't know why you would do that. Why wouldn't you reveal the name of the actress who played the bride?
It's because they want to keep it mysterious.
I guess.
I don't know. I mean,
mysterious girl, bunch of weird squiggly marks. Yeah, that's what we'll review next month. Down to dime. But yeah, so yeah, I think that this film, I'm not gonna say like it's the only Universal monster film that had messages in it. No, a lot of them had messages in there. But I find this one to be so fascinating because of how much you can just go, oh, this is that, this is that, this is that. Like the lines connect real easy on this one. But yeah, I do find this to be maybe the best Universal monster film. If it was not for the fact that I just did not like the beginning of the movie, I'd definitely be saying it's the best. But I don't know. How many Universal monster films have you seen? Just forgive me, I've never asked.
Not a lot, so I don't have any basis for...
Fair. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting week for you, because I have seen Creature, I've seen Frankenstein, I've seen Dracula, I've seen Wolfman, I've seen The Mummy. The original Mummy is really boring. We might not do that one. We might go like The Mummy Returns or something. We might watch the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
I was just going to say...
It's kind of horror adjacent. Maybe. I have been thinking about what we're going to do after Thorgiween. Do we want to just keep doing horror films every single week, or do we want to spice it up a little bit more? So I don't know. Maybe we'll watch
like horror adjacent, like films that have horror in them, but not specifically horror.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I watched. Man, you want to talk about bi icons? Maybe the Brendan Fraser Mummy. Maybe we should watch that one. That was an awakening moment for many people. Anywho, I am not the first person who has made that joke. But yeah, I do enjoy this film. I do think that it's really good. If you have not seen any of the classic Universal monster films, I wouldn't say this is the first one to go to, because this one does feel kind of different from a lot of them. But kind of feels different because it's trying to be something bigger, and I appreciate that. But yeah,
I feel like that's what sequels are supposed to do.
Yes, exactly. This really does what a lot of sequels should be doing. They literally grow the character. Frank actually is a very different person in this one. Dr. Frankenstein is a very different person in this one. Dr. Pretorius, great new addition. I actually wonder if Dr. Pretorius has returned in anything, because he hasn't been in any of the other Universal monster films, but so many newer adaptations of these monsters have been made, it makes me wonder if anyone has ever brought Dr. Pretorius back. It makes me wonder if Universal's whole dark universe had actually like played out, and they did get to that Javier Bardem Frankenstein film, which, goddamn, that sounds like perfect casting. It makes me wonder, could you have squeezed like Dr. Pretorius in there? Interesting. Yeah, it's every now and again I think back to that dark universe. I'm just like, man, y'all had gold here, and you just wrecked it on so many levels. On every possible level, you did the wrong thing with this. Anywho, that is it for today's episode. That is it for today's episode of Thorgiween. Come back tomorrow, in which we're going to be continuing our Universal week, and we're going to be talking about Creature from the Black Lagoon. One of my favorites when I was growing up. It's okay now. I don't know. Maybe I'll feel different when we actually review it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.